There is one little trick here that I do want to show you, and that's these amazing little eye sets that we put on the end of our projectors. So if you see these spots that are all lighting each one of these individual picture frames back here, what we did is we actually picked out each individual small picture with a dado projector, illuminate it with a tiny amount of really beautiful tungsten colored light. So I'm just passing my hand in front of one of them here. And you can see that it's a nice kind of soft light. It definitely is shaped, but it's certainly only on that little area. And what I've done is I've got an iris on that projector, and if I pull the DP eye set out of it, this is our little trick here, you can see that it's a crisp, small spotlight that's in the area that I would like to illuminate. But what we've done is we've put DP eye sets on the front of all these projectors. And what that allows you to do is pinpoint an area of light on a small scale and just soften the edges and illuminate just the small amount of space. A little bit of magic.
My name is Dwight Campbell, and I'm a gaffer and do the lighting for all types of motion pictures and miniatures and animation and 3D and whatever you want. This is a set piece from Paul Kaiser's new film project. This is sort of a gothic kind of dark set that is a miniature, and we filmed all these sets, 6 sets, as background elements, and then we filmed real actors on a green screen set to put them into the miniature.
So Dwight made the choice of having some daylight temperatures falling into the center of the space to really draw attention to what looks like it's going to be our main details, or maybe where our subjects are going to come into. And then we just highlighted the background. He made that tungsten. He went 3200 on the background, and that really pops this space and separates it and gives it depth. It also adds to the surreal nature of the set.
On this set, most of the ambient light is daylight, 5600 degrees Kelvin. Most of the accent lights are 3200 degrees Kelvin. So we have a pool of light cheating the practicals here, which are basically little grain of wheat lights. That's a LED 7 and it's very warm. And we have practicals on the wall to just give us the illusion of there's a source. And then that's actually what we use to create light to light the actors with, because now I could cheat tungsten light onto the actors when I had a green screen set.
This light over here, coming through here, as you can see, is a single light source. Up in the corner there, it's a DLED 7 with just barn doors, and it's spotted all the way down and dimmed down because it's a pretty powerful light from that distance. To get this, what looks like direct sunlight coming through a window and hitting those curtains and illuminating that back space to give a lot of depth, also is, adds to a mystery from what already is a really mysterious setting.
Everything's dimmed down. I mean, I'm at 19% on the octagon up high. Most of the LED 3s are probably 70 to 85% on the dimmers. I tend to work everything sort of in the middle of the dimmer range, so that if I want to add diffusion or if I want to make a change or make something hotter, I have someplace to go. So I always try to have one stop held back, so if a cameraman changes his mind or things happen, we can adjust. I love the light streams and the reflectors. You have to just get familiar with using them. It's really a question of having the hardware to mount them, being able to put them in the position you want them in, understanding they allow you to get the light source farther away from the subject. So if my subject is 10 feet away from the camera, but if I can bounce the light off of a mirror, I can make the light source 35, 40 feet farther away in a space that's not that big. That allows you to basically have much softer shapes and much harder shapes and much more control. The number 1 reflector, very hard, very cool. The number 4, very soft. They're really nice. And in the old days, everything I lit was always bounce light. And everything I bounced in all the major films and all the ones that got recognition was basically bouncing off white. either some white source. But that number 4 reflector achieves the same thing as a piece of beadboard. That's pretty cool, especially when you've got it in a very tunable, small shape that you can put wherever you want. So in most of the miniature sets that we light, we have small white cards, we have reflective cards, we have all kinds of things, but the reflectors are just that much more tuned. So it's a great tool, as long as you don't shake the set or kick the light. That's important, because when you have one light that's doing everything, all it takes is one person to knock you out of the game. So you need to make sure everything's locked down.
Dwight did some pretty cool work with Dedolights here. He not only used the projection systems with the DLED3s, we have a little army of DLED3s here with projectors and various settings on those projectors. But he also is using Lightstream with a DLED9, that's a 90-watt focusing light, and a parallel beam intensifier that's hitting the top of this set. And he's got 4 new light sources that he's created from a single light head, and that is what light streaming is. Light streaming is allowing us to use a single light source and create multiple lights from reflectors with it. So we have a DLED9 with a parallel beam intensifier. Now, light streaming starts with that. It's so important to understand that if you're going to get anything out of these reflectors that means something, you need to have a nice hard parallel beam, and that's what the intensifiers do on Dedolights. So what we're doing is we're shooting across the top of the set a tight parallel beam. And we're using the Lightstream reflectors. Those are small 7 by 10 centimeter reflectors. And we're bringing in that zoned daylight that looks like something's coming through some type of a skylight. And also falling off a little bit onto the walls and bouncing around in the space. Even affecting some of the back wall that is illuminated by tungsten color. But this 25 centimeter Lightstream reflector right here is also just zoning a little bit of color right back here on this side wall. To be able to add so much depth and realistic and elongated shadows from shorter distances from the light source. It's really a powerful tool, as you can see here.
The same result could be achieved with conventional lights. It would be much broader strokes and harder to tune in. The key to this is that we have very focused projection elements on the frontal LEDs lighting the different pictures, and we're able to control them and spot them down with irises and blades. There are no other light fixtures that actually allow you to cut and shape and really tune the light as gracefully as the Dedolights. Yes, there are other lights that do similar things, but it's a different league, let's put it that way. In the old days, we used to have focal spots on conventional mole lights to do things. But to get a group of 20 focal spots for a day job is not going to happen easily around town. You're not going to find it. And if you do find them, they're not going to be in great working order, and they're not going to have the output, and they're not going to have the variability of changing the color from daylight to tungsten. That just isn't available except really here at Dedolight.